Right, this is just a little bit of an introduction to say that there may or may not be a footnote, or even a postscript. You're going to have to watch to the end of the video to see if I've included one.
Go on, keep going.
Right then, hello, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, welcome one and all. My name is Paul, I'm also called Knickknack. I'm the brains behind Knickknack's Old Peculiar, the world's most repetitive blog, Knickknack's Daily Teaser, which is a set of fun daily quizzes that you will enjoy, or else I'll be very disappointed, and behind a lot of movie and television reviews. Just recently I finished watching For All Mankind's third series, and I seriously want to know how Margot got out of Dodge. I really do. But I've also been watching the third and final series of Star Trek Picard. Last night was Friday the 14th of April, and I saw episode 9, Vox. I wanted to tell you about it. Episode 9, Vox, opens with a by now traditional summary of earlier episodes and then shifts to show us Councillor Troy, Marina Sirtis, cutting her treatment of Jack, Ed Spalier, short when she discovers an image of what's behind that red door in Jack's mind. It's something that forces the veteran therapist to flee the room and immediately seek out both Admiral Picard and Dr. Crusher, Patrick Stewart, and Gates McFadden. Post-titles, Jack demands the Admiral tell him what Troy has seen in his head, to be shocked to find it's an image of a Borg cube, a heavily armed Borg cube. The Admiral is called away to sickbay, where Geordi, Data, and Dr. Crusher have found out the Irumodic syndrome that Picard thought he'd had was actually genetic tampering the Borg had done whilst Picard had been captured by the Borg and turned into the monster that is or was Locutus of Borg. That genetic tampering has been passed onto the rapidly vanishing Jack. That tampering has been passed on to others, as, with help from the changelings, the Borg have managed to insert that genetic code into the parietal lobes, or the parietal lobe equivalents, of everyone in Starfleet through each ship's transporters. Everyone in Starfleet who's under 25, or their species equivalent to 25, is slowly but surely being assimilated. That is not the worst of it. No, the worst of it is revealed incidentally by Admiral Shelby, Elizabeth Dennehy, in a broadcast for Frontier Day. Every ship in the fleet has been networked together, and every single one is as vulnerable as the younger members of the crew to being possessed by the Borg. Frankly, Admiral Picard and his crew have only one way of preventing disaster: stopping the Borg by finding the only ship in the fleet that isn't connected to every other one. Now, what did I think of this episode? What did I think of Vox, the penultimate episode of the series? For starters, the big reveal that the Borg are back in town is absolutely superbly done and not something I saw coming. We know there's been an active queen, played in this episode by Jane Edwina Seymour. We know there's an active queen behind the plan to hijack Frontier Day, and has been behind changeling attempts to kidnap Jack, which makes perfect sense of the episode's title. In a throwaway line from the Queen, we find out his Borg name is Vox. Jack is not Locutus, but the one who speaks. You are the voice itself. We see no more of Jack in this episode, but I suspect he's going to be the focus of the next one. So I'm left feeling that this big revelation is unexpected, is surprising, is shocking, is also something that makes plenty of sense to me. The first two series of Star Trek Picard have seen the Borg crop up in major roles, either as Jonathan Del-Arco's Hugh Borg or Annie Wershing's version of the Queen. And the late Annie Wershing gave a superb performance, I have to add. So a third appearance from one of the creatures, alongside the changelings, and of course, let's face it, a very threatened Earth, is both a treat and makes sense, because it carries on that theme of showing us the Federation's greatest enemies. It also picks up a theme of showing us another old friend, the Enterprise D, last seen being destroyed in Star Trek Generations, but also having been rebuilt by Geordie LaValle Burton, because of course he's in charge of the Fleet Museum, which is where the Enterprise is. He's been putting it back together, and it's now, at the end of episode 9, back in flight. It's not often I get tearful at an episode of TV, it really isn't, but that particular scene, complete with archive audio of the late Major Barrett, Mrs. Gene Roddenberry, as the voice of the Enterprise computer, was one of the few times, I'll be honest, I have. It really is beautifully done. Vox is, and I will be blunt here, absolutely bloody incredible. It's worth sitting through these 8 episodes to see this penultimate one. It's a beautifully done episode, and it's possibly the highlight of the series so far. Okay, I'm going to have an issue with the distinct lack of Michelle Hurd's Raffi. I am really rather fond of that character. I also have a question or two, possibly. I know we have a Borg Queen. We only see her from behind when she confronts Jack after he makes his escape from the Titan, and I am expecting her big reveal in next week's episode, in The Last Generation. What I'm wondering, though, is whether it's the same Queen from Season 2 of Star Trek Picard, the one played by Annie Wershing. We don't actually know, do we? Or at least I don't. I don't think she is. To be honest with you, I'm assuming that Queen, the Annie Wershing Queen, was one specific to that alternative Confederation universe. I don't know for sure, though. I would love to find out. I also have to ask this. We know, because we all saw Season 2, we know there are 2 Borg Queens in this universe. The one we've seen in this episode, and the one we've seen from Season 2, the one that's a Borg version of Dr. Agnes Jurati, the Alison Pill character from the first 2 series. What's happened to her? Is she still alive? Will she be able to find help? Is she dancing in the moonlight before the devil comes along and pokes his tongue out at her? I don't know, but my God, I don't half want to find out. I will be doing that when I watch the last episode of Star Trek Picard next week. That episode, as I've already told you, is called The Last Generation, and I will be watching it on the 21st of April and posting my written and video reviews on Saturday, the 22nd of April. Let us not call it a date. Let us call it a grand finale. I will see you then. Live long and prosper. Don't forget, do not eat too many potatoes. Have a very good week. Until I see you next time, please feel free to subscribe and ding the bell. That way, you'll get to see my review. I'll see you then. Something I forgot to mention in the original written version of this piece, it's over on my blog, Knickknacks Old Peculiar, if you want to go and have a look. But something I forgot to mention was simply the fact that Ronald D. Moore, the man who created the rebooted version of Battlestar Galactica, originally worked on Star Trek The Next Generation alongside Jonathan Frakes, Patrick Stewart, et al. I mention that because, of course, in this particular episode, Geordie, LaValle Burton, mentions the simple fact that the Enterprise D is not networked or connected to any other ship of the line, just like the Galactica in Battlestar Galactica. Where they got that idea, I'm sure I don't know.